there's a, like you said, a complex ways of fraud here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about some of the numbers, some of the stats. So CargoNet has a lot of good information. $223 million in cargo was stolen in the U.S. and Canada in 2022, which was a 20% increase over 2021. 16% of carriers reported that they have been rebrokered in the previous year. Geez, that's 1 in 5, 1 in 6, 1 in 7, something like that. Like in the previous year, 21% of freight brokers have been victims of rebrokering. Those are some crazy stats.
They are, and the reality is a lot of that is on the more conservative side, at least from what we can tell. When you talk about the actual grand scheme of the problem, from the numbers that are out there, what we're hearing from some of the larger organizations in the third-party industry, you're probably talking about something in the excess of $1 billion. And that's more in the hard costs. That's reported. That's everything that's reported. That's not talking about the amount of money that organizations are having to spend in software to try to combat the problem. A lot of the vetting tools that are out there right now, the legal costs of trying to hunt these things down. I mean, there are a lot of hidden costs in there that are not even really captured in that $1 billion mark. So it's getting pretty extreme.
And so what are some examples of ways that they're getting that information?
A lot of it's been through hacking the FMCSA.
Yeah.
That's been one of the biggest ways that we've seen it.
Was that 2021, 22? There was a
yeah, it was right around there, and you would have thought that problem would have, we would have seen this a little bit earlier, and I think to a degree we were, but in the last year and a half to 2 years, that's when it's really, really started to ramp up.
Where they get hold of a shipper's actual rate confirmation.
Right.
They already know what that shipper's MC, if they have it, or if it's logistics part of that shipper, they have the MC. We saw that happen with PLCI, where a bunch of freight hit DAT, and there was a bunch of loads booked under the guise of PLCI. They had all the information. They had literal, rate confirmations that were identical.
Wow.
And all those carriers never got paid.
There's been some other hacks that have happened. And then there's other issues, like once people have found out how lucrative this can be, I mean, you can find MC numbers and all that information being sold on Facebook Marketplace.
Yes. I see it all the time.
All the time, right? And the older the MC, the higher the value, right? I think there was one going for $40,000 because it was an MC number that was 15 years old. Nobody wants to work with a carrier that only has 1 year of operating authority, which is a whole other problem that we're trying to address at the same time. But yeah, so there's a number of ways that people are getting this information, but it all initially started with some of these hacks in the industry. At least that's what we can tell. And yeah, it's just like I said, it's an evolving problem, and people are getting very creative with how they're trying to fool the marketplace.
Well, and let's talk about that too on the carrier side. Like, what are some of the costs? How does it affect the carriers trying to do good business?
Well, I think that's the hard part, and that's one of the things that we are really trying to help with. There's a lot of victims in this.
Yes.
The one that's honestly really being forgotten about is the carrier, is the 1 to 10 truck operation. That's a solid business, good people that have gotten their identity stolen. And what ends up happening is maybe they've been in business for 15 years.
Yeah.
But as soon as that identity is stolen, the only real option they have, I mean, there's other avenues they can go down. They can try to resolve the problem. But what ends up happening is ultimately they have to start a new company, right? They need to get a new MC from the FMCSA. Like I said earlier,
that affects insurance. It affects
everything.
Their safety history.
Yeah, and nobody is willing, at least in the third-party space right now. Most brokers, most 3PLs, not because they don't want to, but just from a protection standpoint, from limiting your liability, they're really trying to avoid working with carriers that have been in business for less than 1 year.
Right. Exactly.
Right, and understandably so.
Right.
That's one of the areas where QuikSkope is coming in. We're really trying to help that honest owner-operator trying to do good business and give them a chance to get back in the industry by saying, hey, I have a way to validate that I am the carrier that was hired and I am where I'm supposed to be. If anybody's interested in QuikSkope, you want to learn more, reach out to us at QuikSkope.com, and we're happy to help.